Thank you, Jose Luis. So we can move to the questions. And well, we have questions for Angel, questions for Rasmus, questions for myself. Okay, Rasmus, can you see the questions? There are some, there is a comment from Stefano Fricano regarding your model.
Yeah, but it's from another person that have asked why France and Italy farms seems more efficient. And I have answered in the chat with text. And this is when we take all the countries and all the 669 farms and estimate the model, then we can see that it seems like France and Italy are performing slightly better than the other countries. However, we do not have an exact explanation why France and Italy actually are doing better on this. It's just based on the data that we have. And this is also the reason why I took up the issue about having economic data for the sea bream and sea bass industry, because we do not have a lot of information on this regarding the economic performance. And that is also why some of these findings, we have not the best of explanations to actually explain why. And the second question also here was then why the feed performance was not improved over the last 20 years. And I'm an economist and not a biologist, so I actually don't know why the feed performance has not improved in the sea bass and sea bream industry. But one reason could be that there are not that many regulation about how to actually use feed, because I can see in the Danish and Norwegian sector there has been a lot of focus on the emissions from the farms, and that has actually led to environmental regulation that has pushed the farmers to develop more efficient feeding strategy, improving the feed over time, so not that much was lost and so on. And I actually don't know how that is actually performed in the Mediterranean area, but to my knowledge, the environmental regulation are not that hard as it is in, for example, Denmark and Norway, and that could be one of the explanation. The other explanation is that in Denmark, before we had all this kind of regulation for the environment, it actually paid out to feed the fish as fast as possible up to the size that was marketable, because then you could utilize your farm for producing more batches. And that way, it actually was economically efficient to actually fish the feeds as much as possible. But after introducing of all this kind of environmental regulation, it has turned upside down. So now it's how you can feed your fish with the lowest amount of feed, and that has become the way to produce now. So I think that could be one of the reasons maybe why the feed performance is not that good in the Mediterranean compared to Denmark and Norway. Yeah, so I think that was answers to the questions.
I would just like to add something, just jump in the queue, but it's just to follow in Erasmus. Just to let you know that Med8 has taken care of this issue in Work Package 2. It has identified the need of improving feeding, not just the nutritional value of the feeds, but the feeding strategies, the feeding regimes, and the winter and summer, and depending on population transfer and so on. and that's been addressed. So it's not a matter for this webinar, but it's all in the deliverables and the recommendations from that work package. So I hope that the synergy between the identification of this issue and this in work package 6 will be able to meet and will contribute to improving this efficiency. Thank you, Rasmus.
Yeah, I could see that also Jose Luis is also saying the same, and also Manuel on the modeling of efficient use of feed. So we are all coming together to the same conclusion that feed improvement is one of the key issues to the sector. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you to you.
Well, for Angel, Cristobal Aguilera is asking two questions. One about the need of training professional and experts in aquaculture on communication, so training to communicate aquaculture. And the second is where do we go with 60% negative approximation in the media towards aquaculture?
Yeah. Well, good morning. Well, in my opinion, both questions are closely related. I mean,
yes,
we have a big amount of news with a negative approach, probably because we are not following a proactive strategy to communicate what we are as a sector, or which are the advantages of our products in relation to other products. For example, when we analyzed the news, what we found out is that there is a quite positive opinion regarding fish in general. So what the mass media are telling about fish is that you should eat fish, and fish is a good food, no, in terms of nutrition and health and so. But when mass media specifically talk about aquaculture, they focus more on antibiotics, on artificial feeding, or feeding that may not be that healthy. So in my opinion, this is because, of course, the media will always have their own agenda, and the journalists have their own approach, their own ideology. They want to be impactful, so they tell things in a way that they think maybe more appealing or attract more attention from customers. But the problem, in my opinion, is that the sector is not developing a proactive communication. Also, so the negative results in terms of the tone or balance of the news published by mass media is in part due to the fact that the sector is not generating positive information about aquaculture, no? And then, of course, it would be very important that somebody in the sector, I don't know if it's possible to have one person in each company, but I'm sure it would be perfectly possible to have one person or two in the national organization or in the business organization in charge of generating communication about aquaculture, not only aimed to mass media, because these people or those persons could also manage the website or be part of a communication department in general. But it's very important that the sector launch positive information to the market and try to influence what mass media influence in a positive sense. I mean, inform properly the journalists, so when they write their news or their pieces of information, they have all the information and they focus the information, also taking into consideration the perspective of the sector. I don't know if I'm answering your question, Cristobal. If you have any other question, or you need that I develop my idea.
I think you did, because we need to move a little bit, but let me just make a point. There is a comment on the questions, the first question for Rasmus from Stefano Africano in his interpretation of this data for different countries. And then just to don't miss this comment, is I noticed a different distribution of the size of the companies between the different countries, a distribution that does not seem to follow the normal distribution, but which takes on more of a power law form. This leads to a greater concentration of companies of larger size than the average, and this should lead to greater efficiency linked to factors of economic scale. The economists will be able to interpret this fully. I am a biologist. I can tell you, I can't explain that, but there it is. It's a comment which we have to give the value for it. And so, if there's any comment on the comment, you are welcome to do it now before we move on to the next question, which is again from Cristóbal Aguilera. Rasmus, do you want to comment on that, Stephanos? Point?
Yeah, only shortly. We have evaluated the data set also regarding this about the size of firms, and it was a bit ambiguous, the results coming from this, seeing that in other cases we have actually seen that there are economics of scale, but we couldn't identify that from the data set. And one reason was that there are very few very large farms, and we used the definition that was in the Orbis data set for what it was very large and minor firms. And according to this structure, we didn't have that many very large firms, and that could also influence the results that we don't have that many very large firms. And of course, if you have few very large firms in, for example, Italy and France, that could maybe pull in that direction, it could be an explanation why these countries comes out better. But testing for this size, we didn't find this connection. So okay. I think that we don't know actually when you are reporting these accounts, if they are actually also influence on how you do your taxes in different countries and all these kind of things. We had to work with the data set that we had. And this could also influence on how different countries actually are reporting into the system and could affect how the individual countries are performing. But yeah, we have to work with what we have, and that's the way it is.
That's the way it is. Thank you. But it was just do not miss any. Pepe, you've got a question,
yes. Yes. Well, first I would like to add to Angel's comments. I just want to add one question. Consumers have a conspiracy on Netflix. Guess everybody knows what I'm talking about. Where do they find a proactive documentary on aquaculture and the fishing industry right now, for contrasting what they have in the media? I think this is an evidence of that 60% Cristobal was mentioning. Okay, Cristobal again is asking, he says, okay, it's possible to predict the effects of a pandemic. Is it possible to predict the opposite effect when certain normality returns, like actually, I guess you mean right now? Well, it is possible to make predictions. The problem are not the predictions, are the reliability of predictions. Let's assume that nothing is going to be the same again. So there are some changes, some impacts in the midterms. We are also the industry, and of course it's normal. Everybody's thinking that, okay, when this all will be over, everything will back to the same. It doesn't will go back to the same. It can back to something even better, right? So, but there are some trends that we can expect that will persist for a few years. Inflation. Inflation follows pandemics. I suggest a paper from Duncan Jones. The title is, you can find it easily on the web. It's the Antonine Plague Revisited. It's an economic history analysis of the Antonine Plague in the 2nd century. Right? You will find the effects. The effects are repeated in the Black Death. They repeat in the Spanish flu. And we are starting having evidences that this is going to be similar. The only difference we have is that the COVID-19 pandemic has not had a huge effect on the labor force. So results and impacts as after the Black Death of that people are wealth, the typical Malthusian paradigm that our wealth is going to increase, this is not clear. But it is clear that the prices will rise. Indeed, the prices are rising. And if we consider these effects, and I have to say, I'm not pessimistic. I certainly believe that things will go better and we will have an economic boom and that. But we have to consider also the particularities of the aquaculture industry. I see today, under the economic conditions of today, the harvest that I will be selling in about 1.5 years and 2 years. So in 2 years, the market will be supplied under the conditions of COVID. Then it's unknown. It's really unknown what we will have. Obviously, there will be a recovery, an economic recovery, initially a boom, and let's see how it will works. But I am not confident on the side on the Malthusian effect on incomes, because by fortune, young people was not severely hit by the pandemic. So the labor force is not much affected by fatalities. Okay, so there will be good times, of course, maybe better times, but what kind and in which way? For the following 2 years, we must assume that we are going to have a period of high prices and contracted supply. So
thank you, Pepe.
It will take some time. Okay, there are some more questions.
Yeah, you have 1 minute to take the challenge of replying 2 questions there.
Yes, I can perfectly reply both of them. For Christos, organic aquaculture is indeed a value attribute, and not very frequent, but we found it a very, very significant impact on prices. Well, the question is, when we work with the standards, and I have to say, very similar to semi-intensive aquaculture, brackish water aquaculture. When it's well identified and promoted, it has more or less, it's almost no difference, the impact on prices with organic. But we have to be very cautious with promoting and suggesting standards, because when industry adopts the same standard, then the standard has no value. Okay, if we all, it happens with eco labels. Okay, if all fisheries in one species are MSC certified, then the value of MSC certification for the consumers decreases. If every farmer becomes organic, the value of organic decreases, and we will have the same situation as we have today of no differentiation, but with higher costs. So solutions like organic, also semi-intensive, and they are specific solutions for companies, good solutions for the companies which can take them on, but not for the industries, because they increase costs. Right? So one or a few groups of companies can be very, very successful producing organic and other kind of a specific or a more sophisticated production systems. But this is a strategy for a company or for a group of companies. It's not a strategy for a whole industry. On the other side, not everybody can become semi-intensive, for example. So it's easier becoming organic because the organic standard in aquaculture is not so strict. But consider brackish water or semi-intensive. Semi-intensive has also the same premium, more or less. Not everybody can become semi-intensive. So as a European project, we have to consider the industry, not the specific solutions for the industry, not for specific companies. But as I said, the industry is made of companies. So all those companies who have the potentiality of becoming organic, for the companies that are in this position, it seems that it's a good choice. It's a very good choice. And for ferret, substitution between sea bass and sea bream is very easy. If you want to sell me sea bass or sea bream, I will choose the cheapest of them. There is no reason for which sea bass or sea bream, without any kind of additional processing or differentiation, are better one than the other. So if you, as a Turkish exporter, want to sell me fish to me as an Spanish importer, and I have to give the choice, for me, a cheaper sea bass is preferred than a sea bream, or a cheaper sea bream is preferred than a sea bass. Because for the consumers, for the final consumers, they will take indifferentially sea bass or sea bream.
Sorry.
Yeah, and it might be some effect on the side of size. Yeah, size might be, if we move to higher sizes, probably there is more differentiation, right? Especially for the hospitality services. But the data we have do not differentiate by size. So when I compare the prices and I correlate the prices of sea bass and sea bream in Turkey, in Greece, in Spain, in Italy, even in Germany, I see that they are substitutes. When the price of sea bream when the price of sea bream decreases, immediately after the price of sea bass decreases too, which means that there is substitution, right? If we are competitors and you raise your price, and you decrease your price, I will lose sales. You are stealing me sales. And the only thing I can do in order to recover my sales is decreasing my price. So this effect has been tested in all the countries in North dimension of all the European countries of the European Union. In Turkey is included as well, and Germany and the UK. And we only find some kind of differentiation in Spain. In North Spain, especially, sea bass is preferred than sea bream, and there is a premium for sea bass. Maybe in France too. Yes. No, and there is no more questions, then I have no more replays.
No, because I think you really have approached the questions by Ferret Rat, which are addressed to substitution and sizes. I think you cover that in your comment. If in any case, we are available for questions if you want to approach any of the panelists later on by email, perhaps. But we need to close the time. We need to be respectful with the window, the time frame we have. So from the project, I would like to thank to everybody who attend this webinar, which they have been very faithful. They stay all the way, and obviously the presenters. You make a very nice, very good presentations, and I think you show the importance of the economic part in this project and in the industry. And I hope that this is something which we are going to be able to reflect properly in the project. From my side, there's nothing else. Just if you want to close the meeting, Pepe, and I don't know whether Dinos wants to make a comment, and that's all for me.
Well, thank you everybody for your attention, and I hope that this the information we have shared during this morning can be useful for everybody. Thank you.
Welcome. Dinos, you want to make any comment, or we close it?
Your mic is off.
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying that I had an emergency call from work, so I didn't attend the last 20-30 minutes. So I just I don't have anything to contribute. I'm sorry.
That's okay, but surely you will be in the future anyway. Everything, all the information of Medate is available in our website. The presentations will be also, so you can catch up with any information. And of course, we have the deliverables and the publications, which in the case of Work Package 6, there is plenty of information already available in either form, deliverables and scientific publications. So thank you for everybody. We need to go and close this meeting now. So see you again, and thank you very much.
Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye.